you. I have 5:32, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And I want to call roll, Rebecca.
I will. Mayor Smith.
Present.
Alder Billiard. Present. Alder Hill. Alder Keene. Alder Lancaster.
Present.
Alder Matheson.
Present.
Alder Wilson.
Present.
Ken Reed.
Yes, here.
Angie Wilson. Present. Brian Chapman.
Yes.
Kelly Davis.
Yes.
Scott Long. Thank you. Mayor, we have a
All right, thank you. Wes, or anybody else, any amendment adjustments?
No amendments.
All right, can we get a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? The motion passes, the agenda is approved.
All right, and then do we have the minutes from the last meeting? Has everybody looked at those, or?
Those are Board of Alder meeting minutes only, and they will be on the next meetings as well.
So do we need to approve those minutes?
Please. Okay, do you want to wait to approve that till next meeting, if no one's had a chance to look over those?
Yeah, can we wait until,
So is that a motion to postpone that?
can I make a motion that we postpone item 3, subsection A, until our meeting on Monday, the 8th? I second it.
All right, I have a first and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. We'll approve minutes at next meeting.
And are we doing citizen input for a workshop?
No, you're gonna get to that.
I don't think so. Okay, so we'll scratch that. All right, so number 5, bond presentation by Martin Gaffori with Stiefel. Stiefel. Dang.
You
The
got
one you
hard-
didn't get.
You got,
I was
the,
yeah.
you got the hard part right, my last name. You got my last name right.
I
That's great.
apologize.
No problem. Is it cool if I move this over here and just kind of?
You can put it wherever you want, as long as we can hear you.
Kind of talk to everybody here. Hey, thanks for having me tonight. I want this to be a discussion, educational process of just answering questions. You guys ask questions as we go. Stop me if I'm saying something and you don't understand what I'm saying. Just let's have a good little back and forth just to make sure. I'm really just wanting to lay a foundational basis for everybody to understand kind of how all this stuff works, and then we'll carry it from there. And obviously, we're not really looking for any kind of any action by any means. Just really just letting you guys understand how the process works and what we're looking at. So there's a lot of information in this book that I gave you. I'm really only going to cover like 2 or 3 pages. We may point to a couple of other pages if it makes sense, but I would say flip to page 4, just to kind of give you a little background of where the city is right now. It's called the debt profile. That's the current debt situation for the city, and you have 3 issues right now that are all certificates of participation. You're at 2014, 2015, 2018, and you're paying this all down as you're going. So you've got the water, the 2 issues, the 14 and 18 are both water sewer projects. Your 15s were parks and rec, and that's really all I'm gonna say about that. You guys have historically done certificates of participation for all your financings. I'm gonna share another way of looking at this. If you go to the next page, another option, which is not really laid out on this page per se, but later on here, the city has an ability to issue general obligation bonds to take care of some of this. Don't know that that's an option that you really want to consider. It's just an option available to the city. The problem is you're limited very much so on the amount of general obligation bond debt that you can have. You have a debt limitation by state statute is essentially 10% for various purposes. So you can have 2 of those stacked, you can have a total of 20%. I have a very small footnote there. 1, it's 10% is for general improvements, 10% for road and sewer improvements, and 10% for water, electric, or light improvements. So I think collectively you could maybe get to 20%, that is water, sewer, that would be eligible. You have to go to the voters. You need to get approval at the lowest threshold is 4/7, 57.14%. It's kind of a high hurdle. I don't know that any of this is an option that you really want to consider. I just wanted to lay that out there, that is a tool, a mechanism that has a 20-year final maturity. It's gonna be the lowest borrowing cost to the tune of maybe 25 basis points lower than a certificate of participation, which is what you've done in the past. It's not 2%, it's not 1%, it's a fairly small differential, but a general obligation bond is an option, but you're limited to the max of like 18 million. I don't know fully what the scope of the needs are at this point. You mentioned a number that was a multiple of 18 million. So I don't know that that's a really reasonable expectation to move towards that direction of a general obligation bond. Just for further consideration, I have 10-year, 15-year, 20-year financing options for essentially your general obligation bond capacity here, and then I have directly below for the 10, 15, and 20-year scenarios, I also show the commensurate increase in tax rate if you were doing a property tax increase. I can delve deeper into that. I don't know that I really need to or really want to at this point. I'm really just kind of peeling the onion for you to kind of understand some of the different things that are available to you.
So the reason you're saying that would not be the route to go is just because of the limited amount that we can borrow?
It's a limited amount. You'll need to go to the voters and ask, which is maybe not a bad thing. It's just, then it's gonna be a property tax increase also, as opposed to maybe solely a rate increase on either water or sewer. So it's an option to consider, and maybe that's a part of the puzzle, and then you fund the rest with certificates of participation. It's just gonna depend on what exactly your timeline is, what your needs look like, all of that, and then we kind of develop a plan going forward for you, if that is, if you want us to do that later on down the road. That's kind of part of the process. Right now, it's like I said, I just wanna kind of lay out some of the potential things for consideration, and then we can dig deeper in any of these aspects if you would like. I will say the certificate of participation scenario, you don't have to go to the voters. There isn't a capacity issue, debt capacity issue. It's not like you're limited by state statute to where you can only have 10%, 20%. It's literally you can issue as much as you can afford. And if it's going to be repaid by rates, that's different math than if it's going to be paid by property tax. And it's a different impact for everybody if it's property tax versus rate adjustments as well. So there's a number of ways to look at this, and really, like I said, I'm just trying to bring everything to your attention and then you say like, yes, that sounds good, that sounds terrible, let's explore this more and kind of put together something that makes sense. Now, with the certificate of participation, you're not limited by state statute on length of financing either. So you're not capped at 20 years. So you can go to 25, you could go to 30 years. I don't really see a lot of people go 30. I don't see a lot of people go past 30 routinely. I don't like that because you're paying so much interest expense back over time.
Is that interest fixed?
The interest rates will be fixed. The interest amount on those for these purposes, I have to show you just kind of ranges,
Okay.
so we have 475, 5, and 5.25 for kind of discussion purposes. I think for a 20-year issue these days, you're probably close to like 4.25, 4.5, just for perspective, so you know where that stands. The reason why most will look at those longer terms is literally just to minimize the impact to residents. If it's either the tax impact, the rate impact, it kind of lowers, it softens the blow, just like a mortgage in general. If you were looking at a 10-year versus a 30-year, your payments are considerably less. You can afford more. So the longer bonds may be something to think about as far as like a 25 or a 30-year scenario. That's gonna kinda get you the most bang for your buck to be able to accomplish more projects, but you also have to be cognizant, like, I don't know, have you guys completed a, market rate study? Do you have a rate study on like your water sewer rates?
We had a formal one done last year.
Okay. Maybe if I could get a copy of that, that would be great, and then I can kinda dig into that. I can take a look at all of that, where things stand and how you guys stack up amongst your peers and people near you. And then we can kind of dig in a little more into some other things, but really it's gonna depend on what your project list looks like, what's your priorities you wanna target. You know, structurally, I could talk about how a certificate of participation works real quickly too. So you don't have to go to the voters to get approval for a COP, it's also called a COP, just certificate of participation, or COPS financing. Don't have to go to voters. You can go to voters and ask them for, you know, if you needed it, if you were gonna maybe use some property tax as a portion of repayment as a revenue stream, you could do that there too, but, I mean, if you look at the rates down here, I don't recall, do you have a general property tax levy currently?
We did.
Do you know kind of off the top of your head what that looks like? Even if you're within 10 cents?
Yeah, I think it's like 184.
So like 18 cents or something?
That's on top of the Green County 5 district.
Sure.
Parks and Recs, that's where you know
But
that
that's
would be the
general.
juniors,
But that's
like
general.
184, thereabouts.
General property tax levy, let's see.
We looked at it earlier today, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay. Like, you can go up to $1 with a simple majority vote, but then if you go above $1 for general property tax levy, now you're looking at a 2/3 requirement instead of a simple majority approval for up to $1. And the crazy thing about that is that number, the dollar number, was set by statute in 1972. So it's like if they inflationary adjusted that, that'd be like $3 or so. But that number has not changed in 50 years.
But we would have the discretion how we paid for it as far as the sources.
Of course, yes. It is, obviously, if you were moving towards a bond issue or certificates of participation, I'll use bond issues. It's the same concept in my mind if you're doing bonds or certificates. I'm just gonna be saying bonds. So if you're doing bonds in any capacity, yeah, it's basically however you wanna go about doing that, yeah. We just have to make sure that you have a revenue stream that will repay that debt. Because we do go to the not to the voters, we go to the rating agencies and we get a bond rating on said transaction each time that you proceed down that path. So they will review the management structure, they will review your finances, your policies and procedures, and look at the whole transaction in detail, and they will let you know, like, hey, this is where you land, which your guys' rating is on that other page, on page 4. You guys, never mind. Yeah, here you are. 2018, it's rating at issue, it's kind of a couple lines underneath the remaining total. It's A by S&P. Your rating is A by Standard & Poor's. So there's a table in here too, which I'll point you to, just so you can kind of see what that means. Page 12 shows you the rating table, and that just gives you an idea of kind of where you stand. So S&P is on the far left. A is it's in the arena where it's strong financial capacity but susceptible to adversity. But that highest rating you can get is AAA. And you're, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels away from that. It's still a pretty solid rating. That's not a bad rating by any means at A. And, with those rates, with that rating, I think you'd still be at like 4.25, 4.5, something like, for a 20-year. If you go a little longer, then that rate might go up a little bit, of course. But, But for a certificate of participation transaction, basically what you do is you determine what the project scope looks like. Once you've got everything kind of engineered, and you've got a plan and a path forward of like, these are our priorities, this is what we're gonna tackle, and maybe you have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan that's put together, and you say, you know, this is our list of things we're gonna tackle first. When you size a bond issue, each bond issue is set up and sized in a way to where you're gonna sign a piece of paper when you sell the bonds that say, we reasonably anticipate we're gonna spend 85% of these bond proceeds within 3 years. So the term of 3 years in the spend down is really what's gonna dictate the size of each bond issue as you go. That's a tax law thing, it's not it's not something we come up with, it's the IRS has put that.
So it would be the incremental process then?
So
We
it
have
could-
X
exactly.
amount of bonds for this
Correct.
3 years.
Yeah.
And then we finish X amount of the project, then we move on to the next
Then
part
you
of the
go on to
project.
another phase and move
Okay.
on to another thing, cause the logic behind that rule and being in place is they don't want you to borrow, let's say $50 million, and then you're sitting on $50 million, your constituents are paying rates at 50 million, and then you're sitting at the bank, you have your money sitting in the bank, and you're not spending it down and doing the project, but you're still paying on it and you're doing all these things. And there's another reason why they do it that way, and it's because people have abused arbitrage in the past. And that just means like you borrow at 3% and then you invest it, if interest rates are above that, then you invest it at 4%, let's say, and then you're just earning 1% off the top. Back in the 80s, people were doing that nonstop, and that was part of the federal tax reform in 86.
Sounds like a good investment to me.
They said, we're not doing that anymore. They said, we're not doing that anymore, and you need to spend that within 3 years. Now, the penalty, if, let's say you get to year 4, and you're like, oh gosh, we still have, 3 million left, we didn't spend it all, we borrowed 10 million. If you have documented reasons why you didn't spend that leftover balance, 30% or whatever the number is, it's okay. You just have to be able to document why that is. Great examples, unfortunate example, is during COVID. During COVID, cost of construction went through the roof. Supply, there's supply shortage, there's supply chain issues, you couldn't get things. And the timing of project completion, not everybody was hitting that 3-year mark. So that's very well documented. And that's just one of the things that you need to just be aware of this as a thing to think about. But that's something that the professionals that are involved, if it's us or another firm, and then the bond attorneys also, they're gonna be the ones who are really helping to maneuver you through and guide you through all the tax law situations. That's where the bond attorneys that's where they shine, I would say, as well as preparing, if you have to go to the voters, they prepare all that language as well. But if you don't, they also prepare all the bond documents to get everything ready so we can, or somebody like us, like an underwriter, can market the bonds to investors and say, hey, we have this issue coming to market, do you want to give us an IOU, basically, which is what bonds are, and we'll pay you back over time based on the rates that are coming in. And one of the other differences between like a GO bond and a certificate of participation is, with a general obligation bond, it's like, you're basically saying, let's say this booklet is the city. You're levying a property tax on everybody in the city at a set dollar amount, or a set levy amount. And if you have to, if half the city goes away for some reason, like there's a flood, there's something terrible that happens, the other half has to pay double whatever the tax rate is because you have to make your debt payments. So a general obligation bond is inherently more secure in general, which is why I was saying it comes with a little better rate, and your rating would not be an A on a GO bond, your rating would be one level above that, you would be A+. So that's another reason why your rate is a little bit better in those scenarios. Now, with the certificate of participation, you're essentially using collateral. So the building, or if you're doing, you know, water pipes, the equipment and the things that you're putting in the ground can be the collateral that's being utilized to say, hey, bondholders, like, you own the pipes in the ground if they're not paying you. You get to take over, you can dig it up and do, like, I don't know, it doesn't happen often. It's like a moral, I would say that scenario is more like a moral obligation, right? It's like, hey, we wanna make sure that you continue to pay your stuff. We wanna make sure that we have collateral that is important to you and your constituents, so that way you continue to pay your debt. That's the idea behind the collateral on a certificate of participation. It's more of a, hey, you're gonna go ahead and continue to pay this, because if you don't, it's gonna be a problem. We sometimes, and I know this isn't what we're talking about, but we sometimes do this on roads. We do road projects, and like the first 6 layers of asphalt is what's the least and collateral property. So if there's an issue, then you could the trustee can come and put roadblocks up, and just like nobody can ride on the roads. We don't see a lot of defaults. There's not problems like that we see regularly. But, and then to get back to this situation specifically, so the rates are gonna be, the rates would be what would support the transaction. So you need to do that analysis to say, okay, well, what is politically palpable? What can people handle and not be up in arms with? And then also, what is needed? So there's gonna be like maybe 2 or 3 different numbers here. What is the amount that's needed to support said debt? And I will tell you on this page 5, that one of the numbers probably that's the best one to use is the $1 million number in any of these lines, because then you just multiply the $1 million times whatever the project amount is that we're talking about here. Because you just take that number, if it's like the 20-year option, $1 million, I just look at the 5% number, I'd say that's 80,000. You know, so if you got 10 million, you're looking at 800,000 as your debt service, and then you need to back into, okay, well, how much of a tax, how much of a rate increase would be required on either water or sewer or a combo of both, or whatever the situation may be. And then the reason why, again, you go look at, you know, a 25-year, because that drops that number down to 70,000, right? So I mean, that gets you a little more bang for your buck, so then if you're doing a bigger project, it kind of softens the blow a little bit, and then you can do a little bit more of a project at the same time. Granted, yes, you're paying over another 5 years, that's another 5 years worth of interest, but this is all essentially like a moving target until we start figuring out where your priorities lay, what can be put upon the ratepayers, and like this is what your rate will look like after a rate increase. Like all those things have to be taken into account, and then, I mean, I can run numbers pretty quickly and tell you where things stand. That's not the difficult part. The hard part is all the work that you all are doing right now leading up to the project and getting the engineering and everything in place and getting the public behind it and then moving forward.
And that was gonna be my next question. I may be getting ahead of your presentation, but theoretically, if, you know, we were to go this route, sounds like there's an awful lot of moving parts. How long before we start the process to money hits the bank and we can use it?
So once you're at the point you're like, hey, we're ready to move, let's get things going. It's a pretty relatively quick process. I'd say 10 to 12 weeks. So 2 to 3 months is really what the timeline is to like get the bonds actually started and sold and funded. So that's like a 3-month process to get that done. I would say just plan on 3 months, because that would be a more measured kind of slower pace, to where you're not being rushed. We've done it as quick as 6 weeks, but that's when it's like, we're firing on all cylinders.
How long did ours
We're
take, Martin, when we
I
did?
think it's probably 12 weeks.
12 weeks
Yeah,
when we
I
did
don't
ours.
think I think we went kind of, because, and that was first time issuance.
Right.
We haven't gone through that, you guys haven't gone through that in the past, so I try to do it a little bit slower on the first time, especially since it's gonna take more time from everybody. And this is not something like Wes, this isn't something that you would do all the time, right? You've maybe never done it before, maybe you have, I'm not sure. So it's, you know, just the conversations with the finance team with respect to like due diligence. There's gonna be a due diligence questionnaire that would be put out there. There's gonna be a rating questionnaire from the rating agency that needs to be completed and compiled and everything. And like, I'll just say, like, the way I handle it is we work on all of this stuff together. Like, I get all those questions a couple weeks before the calls, I send them to you as the city, and I'm like, here, work on it for a week. Do whatever you can. You don't understand something, literally just ignore it, move on to the next one, seriously. Then we have a Zoom call, we spend an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, to go through, and I'll review, I'll be like, you know, give me your responses after a week, and then I highlight all the stuff that we need to touch on. And then if you've answered, you know, 10 out of the 30 questions perfectly, I'm not going over those with you. I'm going over all the things that I'm filling the gaps on. So I would say I hold your hand almost through this entire process to make it as simple on you as possible, because you've got a lot of other things that are taking your time, and this is a sliver of what you're doing in the grand scheme of things. Really, I mean, I have a lot more information in here, I know I do. I've got like the bond process and all that. I don't really want to bog you down with any of that right now. I don't think that that's gonna be helpful for you. I'm happy to answer questions on any of that if you have like specific questions, but I just really wanted to hit on some of these high points and talk about like conceptually, this is how this stuff goes. There's stuff in here about Stiefel and our, you know, what we do and all that stuff. We're an underwriter, we're in Missouri. I'm really not gonna say much more beyond that. Like, you can take a look at this if you want. If you wanna fall asleep tonight, real quickly, just kind of flip through this. Then there's some financial market update at the very back of this. But, you know, they're talking about maybe they're lowering rates again next week. I would tell you, it doesn't always mean it's like a direct translation to the muni rates or treasury rates that it's gonna drop immediately, because the market is pretty astute. They know what's going on for the most part, because the Fed sends these smoke signals all throughout the process. So these lower rates are already baked into the current rate situation that we see daily. The thing that will change what's going on with rates are shocks to the system, something that is, you know, just comes about that nobody was thinking about, you know, those black swan events, something that happens that you just didn't know was gonna happen, or just uncertainty in general. The markets don't like uncertainty. Interest rates will fluctuate wildly when there is uncertainty. Those are the big drivers of rate movement, one way or another. So it doesn't necessarily mean if they're gonna cut rates next week, we're gonna see another 25% or 25 basis point drop in numbers here. It's already baked into the numbers, really. If they say it's gonna be 50 or 75, that's when you could see rates drop a little bit, I would say, but I don't know that that's what's gonna happen.
So the GO bonds or the other bonds that you're talking about, the, what they call them?
COPs,
COPs,
certificates, yeah.
So if they were to do, they figure their projects out, they get it all put together, and then they go with either one of those. And that money is dedicated to do their projects, which in that case now frees up on the other side in their operations statement, right? Is it just the GLs that do that, or is it the others? Or do they both?
Well, so.
You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so I think really for this specific situation and for a water sewer project in general, it sounds like the rates are gonna be what supports the project, period, right? Because you're not, I'll say, so here's maybe to piggyback off what you're saying. If you are spending lots of money on an annual basis on maintenance of the sewer lines and pipes and things that you're replacing, yes, that will be savings to you operationally because you're no longer spending that money on maintenance items. But otherwise, I think for the most part, the rate, I mean, from what I'm hearing at least, it sounds like the rate increase is what's gonna support any of these projects going forward. And it's not like you're really like taking some of your budgeted money that you've been like stacking to the side, unless you have been. Are you guys saving money on the side that you've been kind of
Not as much as
setting?
we would like, but yeah.
Okay.
It's something we need to work on. I think to your question, you know, going the go bond route, we have about a third of our ratepayers outside of the city limits, so it would only be
Yeah, so that's
collected
kinda,
on
that kinda
two-thirds
hurts.
of the customers.
Yeah, that would just kind of be unfortunate for the city's residents to subsidize basically the sewer for everyone. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like the rate increase for the users is going to be probably the funding source. Then it's just a matter of what's the project list, what's the priority of the project list, and then, I mean, the math is fairly simple. We have a lot of that right here, and I can fine tune it and get it specific for what you're looking at as you get those other pieces identified. But it's really just gonna be a matter of, you know, continuing to do the things that you're doing now to determine what the project scope looks like and the priorities. And then, like, if you say, okay, well, we're gonna do, and I would suggest looking at it in these like 2 to 3 year windows, right? Because then that could be a particular bond issue. That's how I would look at it, is like, okay, well, we got 2 or 3 years, cause it's gonna take time to build and construct and do all these things too, right? Like, you get bonds, you get money in hand, it's gonna take you 2 years probably to get, or 18 months at the earliest to get, you know, certain aspects of it in the ground and moving, just depending on what the scope is. So really, it's just, you know, prioritize, look at what's going on, and then, you know, we've got some of the puzzle pieces right here on this page 5 that really, you know, the $1 million, and I can change any of these, like if you're like, hey, you know, give me 10 million on here and 20 million or what, just give me some feedback. I can tweak any of this however you want it, and get you other things, but, and I can get you $1 million all the way up to, you know, 30 million by $1 million increase, like, I don't care. Like, we can get you whatever you need as far as making sure you understand like what the repayment looks like. I think the biggest part of this is gonna be what is the rate increase going to look like, and what can be kind of managed by the ratepayers in the city. I think those are gonna be the big kind of tug of war that you got to push and pull to manage. Do you know what, I'm gonna ask a question, we probably don't know, like a 10% increase or a 20% increase, like what that generates for water or sewer or combo?
Gina's been running the numbers, so that'll be our next
Okay,
point of discussion, yeah.
Cause I mean, if we have some of that stuff, like we could talk through a bunch of different things, then we could start piecing together like, okay, well, that will get you this, or that will get you this much money, and then you can determine which of those projects or what it is that makes the most sense to tackle. And I know, I mean, I was talking to Kelly about this before. I was talking with the city probably 5 years ago, I think, when we were talking about doing a bunch of different projects kind of similar to this. And I know that wastewater treatment plant situation where you guys send your stuff to Springfield essentially to get treated, I know that was a topic to consider and think about, because I think you're paying what, like 1.6, 1.8 million or something like that for them to.
We budgeted 650, and we were a little over this year because we had a little.
Oh, it's 650, it's not, I thought it was at 1.8, like close to 2 million or something, there you go.
Maybe over a period of time.
Yeah, okay, I thought that was, okay. I thought it
Usually
was a
right around
different number.
650 now.
I thought it was like 1.7 million or so. Okay, well, anyway, scratch that. Never mind. I'll just stop there on that one. But, yeah, I don't really want to go into much more of this. I feel like this is a good base to understand some of this, unless you disagree and you want me to talk a little more about some different things. But this is kind of the approach to think about. There are other options. I mean, you can, depending on if you want to go down this road, there are like DNR options. You can go that route. That would require a vote of the public to do revenue bonds. then you go DNR, and then they have like a subsidized rate that you can get, but there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to get them, and I will tell you that I haven't worked on a DNR loan in probably 15 to 20 years. I've been doing this now for 20 years, and I've maybe worked on like one or two in my whole career. And most of the feedback that I get is, it is too cumbersome. It is just too many engineering hoops to jump through to get everything done, and all the red tapes that it's not worth it, is what most people come back with, but it's not always the answer for everyone. So that is another thing to consider, is if that's something that you guys wanted to do, you could go down that road, and the rate's probably closer to 3-ish or so. It's a lower rate, it's just, there's some pain associated with it along the way. So just like anything, there's a push and pull with that too. Any other questions or anything? I don't know, I'm happy to answer anything else.
You know, going to the voters, I think that's gonna be an issue. Just the general feeling, I mean,
Yeah.
you do this all the time.
Yeah.
And I went to the elections last November, a lot of them got turned down.
Mhm.
Is that, what's the percentage you're seeing? You know,
Yeah,
in Missouri or this area, voters approving bonds versus?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. I don't track it that way, because I mean, my response is always the same. It's gonna depend on what's the communication that's involved, does the public think you need said situation, do they not? Like, there's no real, like,
Right.
I wish there was a, magic bullet that was, hey, this is the answer. I also get, what's the right amount to ask for the public? And it's like, is your project needed, and is the project size the right size? Like, then you just have to communicate and explain and educate to people, this is what we need, this is why we need it, this is how we got here, and this is why we're asking you for this. It all
Bottom
comes
line
down to
is, there's gotta be a rate increase, one way or the other, there has to be one, whether we do it through a bond or it's just done.
Yeah, and those can
What's the advantage? I
those
mean-
are mutually exclusive anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I think, I don't know, when is the last time you guys been doing rate increases? Like, when is the last rate increase?
First one,
You doing?
well, actually, I guess we did 2 last year, trying to get caught up, but before we went over,
Okay.
there's a period of some years where they didn't do one,
Okay.
other periods where they just did a flat 5.
So in those instances, I do see, a 15-20% increase at one time, and then it's like, hey, we've got a plan that we're gonna do a 4 or 5% increase annually for perpetually, or whatever the case may be. But typically, especially when there's bonds that are involved, or certificates, whatever you want to say, usually there's a plan that is determined that is like, okay, well, we need to do this, like, this is the way we have to proceed to make sure that the rates are, fair for the city to be able to provide the services that are needed, and also from the resident side to get what they need, so the system is actually, able to support them as well. So typically, yeah, it's, if you haven't done it in a while, or if it's, you just did it recently a couple times, but then before that, it was not a lot. I do see sometimes, the 25% increase, one time, and then step in, or you do 10, 5, 5, and then you just keep layering it in. But again, that's some of the analysis, like, we can help with that stuff too, and kind of dig into some of that and just model that for you guys. That's not a problem, like, we can help with that kind of stuff too, if that's something that you need. But we don't do the rate studies or anything like that, of course, but we can help with any of the analysis and financial modeling and stuff. Yeah, and so, I'm sorry, I don't have
No,
like
that's
a real,
fine.
I don't have like a real answer for that, it's just,
I think the key is gonna be what's communicated to the ratepayers,
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's needs.
Right.
That's not a question.
Yeah, and from what I'm hearing, it sounds like GeoBond's not gonna be able to really satisfy really much of your need anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna come at a pretty hefty cost. I mean, it's just for reference, so like, if you look at the 20 million, 20-year financing, the 18 million, 20-year financing, 5%, it's $1.54, $1.55. Let me see if I can do this on my watch here. $1.55, so it's per penny is $1.90. 190 per $100,000 home value. So if you're talking, what is this, 4.6 pennies. For a $100,000 home, you're talking a $300 increase for 18 million for a $100,000 home. So if it's an average home value here is probably 200 now, right? I mean,
258.
250, okay, so times 2.5.
Well, I'm sorry, that was retail value, I'm sorry.
No, that's,
That was
yeah,
not counting, that was the realtor fee coming out, that was median for retail price, not appraised value.
well, I mean, so maybe 2-ish, or what do you think, I don't know. Let's go with that, based on that, that's $730 to a taxpayer on an annual basis for only 18 million. So I don't know what the rate increase would look like, but we can do that math and compare it and let you know once we see what the rate study looks like and if we, have a chance to look at some of that stuff. But that's just an idea, and that's like maybe taking care of, from what you were saying, maybe not quite even a third of what your needs are. That's a pretty hefty bill. And then the legislators in Jeff City are trying to get rid of property tax, they're cutting all kinds of things and trying to take funding away from municipalities and special taxing districts left and right, which, good, bad, ugly, municipalities and special taxing districts provide services. If this funding goes away, services are not gonna necessarily be the same. So there is over 1,100 bills filed on Monday, December 1st, which is the first day of pre-filing. And a good number of those had to do with property tax and cutting funding for various different things for municipalities and special tax districts. So I don't know what's gonna happen this year. I think the governor's priority is to get rid of income tax. So I'm hoping that maybe that distracts them and they don't get anything done on the property tax and the local level, trying to penalize everybody even more than they have. But, I should probably stop on the political stuff. I could keep going on that, but I won't. My contact information is on the first page too, on the cover here too. All my information's there. Feel free to just call, email, if you want to go through Wes or Kelly or whatever, just anybody can call, reach out anytime. And we're happy to help in any way. And just for, I guess I'll just drop this little piece too. If you were to engage Stiefel to help in these things, we don't get paid until we actually sell bonds. We're not keeping track of hours, we're not doing any of that. It's like a percentage of the bond issue amount, kind of like a realtor with
Commission based.
It's commission, yeah, it's like a percentage, it's underwriter's discount is what it's called. And it's not like an architect or engineer of like 5 to 10% or maybe 1%, maybe 0.8% to 1%. It's a fraction of what you would think it would be. So, you can fire us at any time if typically what we do is we provide an engagement letter that would cover us. It says in there, it's fully cancelable at any time, so you can fire us whenever you want. And then you don't pay us anything until or if you actually sell bonds. And then the engagement letter, really, the purpose for it is it provides cover for us from the regulators. Because what we're doing is we're giving you specific tailored advice on securities, and we're regulated by all the acronyms, the SEC, the MSRB, FINRA, all those organizations that are tied to securities. they oversee us, and we have to make sure we're following all the rules, and we have a big compliance group and all that too, but it's pretty innocuous though, as far as the engagement letter. It's like a 3 or 4 page document that says essentially what I just explained to you, so, just for what it's worth. From my perspective, it's always like, the sooner you bring the professionals on to help you, the better, because you're not paying anything for it anyway, and then you get the free advice, you get the goodwill advice, or whatever you wanna call it, up front, through the whole process to kind of guide you. And I will say, kind of the similar, I do know, I believe you guys work with Gilmore Bell, maybe, for bond counsel? Okay, cool, so they work in the same way, basically, like they're like the only attorney firm that I'm aware of that's not hourly. So they just say like, this is our fee for the transaction, and then they don't get anything unless they actually close on the transaction as well. But yeah, just similar concept with them. Like if you bring them on board to go through some of this stuff too, it's to me, it's always a good thing, because then you've got the attorney and then you've got the, professional on the financial side to help kind of guide you through things. But there's no pressure or no timeline on any of that either, so I don't want you to take it in any other way. But happy to provide information. We can give you some information just kind of under like general factual basis, which is what this is. But then once you start saying like, hey, can you structure this and do some specialized tailored things, that's when we're like, well, we may need to formalize the engagement, but that's not anytime real soon, I don't think. But just letting you know.
Cool, thank you, sir, appreciate it.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, happy to come.
Alright. So item number 6, continued discussion on rates.
So since the last meeting, Gene's completed some considerable evaluation on the water and the sewer budget. So I'm gonna let her kind of lead the discussion from here on in. She's confidently discussed things with me earlier. Her number is kind of high confidence rate on 15%, so a lot better than the 20% that was being discussed last time. But I'll let her review her assessments with you and answer your questions.
In front of my monitor. Hey, everybody got another packet to read when you go to bed tonight? So I keep hearing when I moved to Willard, my water bill was only $20, and now it has doubled. When I started driving, gas was 97 cents, and now it's $2.25. That's roughly a 130% increase. I can list many examples, but honestly, we all know prices have gone up over everything. Last year, we raised the rates, and this is a list of everything we got done. Which you have in your packets. It's the top page. The problem is not the cost of water, the problem is the cost to fix or replace how we get the water. Facebook recently had lots of comments about water quality. They wanted filters and other ideas. We cannot fix problems that used to cost $1 and now cost $5 on the old rates. We have a lift station at capacity, which we have budgeted to fix in 2026. There have also been many comments about the Meadows Tower, and that's budgeted for next year as well. This being said, citizens want a Walmart, 7 Brews Steakhouse, and even an Andy's. We cannot do this on our 40-year-old equipment when we already are at capacity. We recently put out a bid for Meadows Lift Station, and to close the lagoon, the $1.7 million cost is also in the budget for 2026. It has been suggested that we get a bond. We have been looking into this process, as you can tell. Kelly's called me, we've set up the one we had today. We have another one coming up that is grants, right?
That's when we talk about in January.
Yeah.
Bringing in Pat O'Brien.
Yeah, he'll be doing grants though, right?
Yeah, he'll be talking about grants and all kinds of different options. And he is an engineer with, it used to be Anderson, it's called OWN now. Pat was he was over all the water and gas utilities at CU. He's a I guess he's civil engineer, isn't he? Yeah, I know he is. Is he civil? Is that what they classify him as, or is he
I
different?
think so, yeah.
Well, anyway, long story short, he works for them now, and that's what he does. He works with a lot of small communities the size of us, and he goes out and he knows where some money's at. He knows how to look at things. He will explain to you, what options are, again, for you guys to look at. If you want to look at something or discuss something, by all means, he's coming to give you an informational thing such as Martin has done tonight, so you guys can be able to, hear some different things. He says, I've had a long talk twice with him now, and he told me, he says, I hear these stories and tell these guys they are not the only town that are suffering from this. It's a common talk amongst the small community. So he says, we can research answers. I told him, that, we were looking at all things to bring to you guys, of course, to look at, and he said, I think that's a good thing. So he would like to come next month and visit with you guys and it's no charge, no nothing, just come and open up information for you, give you some good thought process.
Yep. So this will take all of us working together to get the bond passed. The Water Board, the Boulder Wildman, City Hall, and the schools. If the bond does not pass, more increases will be necessary to sustain the water and sewage in Willard. If we grow our community with a new lift station and a well, these businesses will hopefully come to Willard and share the cost of water and sewage, and hopefully the increases will not be as necessary as they are today. I have a list of all the projects from the engineers needed in Willard. This is a map. There is also a map, which I know might be hard to read, but I just wanted to show you guys all the colors on there and that it's all over the city. It is not one spot. It's not just the meadows, all over the city. I can email copies if anybody wants the actual copies of the map, so you can enlarge it and look more closely at whatever parts you want to. The water is estimated at $26,684,000 if we did everything that's on the list. The sewer list is also attached. It is $36,726,000. This is a total of $63 million. The thing to point out here is that on the list of things that we completed, there were 3 items that did not get completed because of budgets, because of inflation. The sewage list has 4 items that were listed that said 2022 cost, and I think I highlighted them this time. Yeah. So they're gonna raise from inflation as well. I have a bill for Springfield at 4,000 gallons of water and ran a rate calculator for Willard and Springfield and Republic. Springfield did a sewer increase in July 2025, a water increase in October of 2025, with another sewer increase scheduled in 2027. I have attached the increase schedule, but I'm not going to go through it. It's the very, very last pages. Republic and Springfield's are attached just in case anybody wants to look at them. For 3,740 gallons of water in Springfield, the cost is $41.58. 4,000 gallons in Willard is $32.90 on our current rate. The increase of 15% will make it $37.84, which is still cheaper than Springfield. Republic is $34.46, and they have a 3-year plan of raises. In 2026, the same 4,000 will be $61.29, and in 2027, it goes to $76.51. That's more than double. Sewer in Springfield for 4,000 gallons is only $46.22. That's cheaper than Willard because they get money from other cities like us who have to send our sewage to them. In Willard, sewer 4,000 gallons is $69.24. With an increase, it will be $79.62. Republic is now at $78.73. 2026, it'll be $91.33. And in 2027, it'll be $105.04. I also have put in here a graph of the residential water in different communities that Wes gave me, because he's awesome like that, you know? Notice Willard's right in the middle, with Republic up top, and that's before any of these increases. That's their 2020 cost. Nixa and Ozark are down there at the bottom, but I know Nixa just went through some increases too. Wes has also put together a rate calculator on the website to let all citizens check their current rate and future rates as proposed. There's the 10%, 15, and we took out the 20 because no one,
Not yet, but we will.
we will. So everybody can check. All you have to do is hit that little fancy calculator that I made him put up there. And then it'll take you right to the rate calculator, which is the next page. It kind of shows you, I put lines in the middle of mine just to do the totals, but this is what it looks like on mine. For the budget, I have a copy of the budget that I've been working on. The numbers might not be 100%, I am working on them, but this is what I've gotten so far, going through all the numbers. This includes the water tower maintenance program, the 94 lift station, the estimate of the meadows, force main, sewer improvements, the replacement of a pump at a lift station, and the B lift station rewire. The revenues combined are $11,213,000. The expenses combined are $11,205,000. This leaves $8,000 going into reserves. That's not very much. This budget is completed with the 15% increase. So I've already put the increase in there in this. I used a Missouri rate analysis to graph the projected revenues over 5 years on the current and the new rate. 2026, the other one.
Oh, sorry.
2026 is just barely making it, and we will review 2027 next year. I just want to point out 2028, the red line's way up there because we had B lift station. We were hoping that bond or some other, we might be able to add it to the bond or COP, but as of right now, it was in this rate study. Over the next 5 years, there is also reserves is the next one. So the dotted line is if we stay at the rate we're at right now, that's where our reserves will be by the end of 2030. It's not where we want to be. When we put money in our personal savings account to cover emergencies like new tires or your water heater bursting, we don't pay our monthly bills out of these savings, or at least we shouldn't be. And that's what this graph is kind of telling you. It doesn't help us if we're in an emergency situation. Branson and Springfield both had water mains break here recently. If an emergency like that happened, we need to have reserves to fix it. Or if the lagoon overflows again in the spring like it did last time, this costs us $100,000 in pump trucks to pump it out. Most of the projects I have listed earlier are contract or grant specific, and that makes it to where we can't move the money for emergencies. This is another reason the proposed bond will be so important for us to all work together to get passed. If we can pay for the larger items with the bond, we can do repairs and maintenance of the 40-year-old equipment we have now, especially since little or no maintenance has been done in over 10 years, when the cost was way less expensive than today. Now, if you have questions, I will try to answer them, because I have been going through numbers for a week and a half now, and
So, what's on top of my mind is, first question would be, if we go the bond route or COP route, will the payments that we pay on that come exclusively from rates? Because we really don't have the ability to drag from anywhere else. Yes or
They
no?
would need to out of fairness, because like I mentioned with the dough
We
bomb,
can't go through.
you're gonna
property
charge
tax.
only people in town.
And that's
on the
what-
property rate.
I didn't know what he would say today, but now that we've learned that, yes, we would want to go through the rates because people outside the city aren't gonna get the sales, or they're not gonna use the tax,
The
property tax.
doesn't come from them.
So they just pay property tax to Green County and we don't get any of that.
Okay, well, that alleviates my second question, then never mind.
That's part of the reason we had him come in, was so we knew.
Do you know what percentages we went up and when it actually went into effect this last year?
I do not know, but I can get that for you. I'll email it to you. Yeah.
So I know we had the conversation, last meeting, we talked about, whether or not it'd be more prudent to get a large amount of money through these mechanisms. That way we could buy the equipment we need and get everything at today's prices versus, doing it rate studies every year and then, 4 years from now when we're sitting having the same discussion, everything's gone up. Then obviously if we do that, we're paying interest. 4.5%-ish for interest. So mathematically, I wonder would it make sense to go ahead and just go the rate increase route with no interest, but then we each year may have to get bigger and bigger or more and more? Or is it cheaper to go ahead and pay the interest, get the loan, and buy everything that we need now while it's cheaper? Is that making sense or not making sense?
I follow you.
To me, it seems like the second issue is the way to go.
Yeah.
And that being said, if we bring all these different developments and stuff in, they're gonna help us pay that back.
Right.
And then hopefully we
We'll
wouldn't have to do
spread
as
that.
many rate increases, or it's gonna be 3% instead of 10.
Your
You know?
challenge is you've been chasing year to year, and then the price has gone up when you've got there, and you're going, bro, let's try again, and then.
If Mike
get
does
there
his
again,
job,
and
we can
you're,
get
"Ruh-roh."
people in here.
Yeah, so you're chasing a moving target.
Always falls back to me, doesn't it?
I know.
You got the ball.
So you think just instinctually the smarter route is to go the bond route now, or?
Well, given what Martin said, I mean, the bond numbers aren't as favorable as they used to be, I guess, when interest rates were a lot lower. Do they track T-bills like the mortgage rates, or what does a bond rate track?
So they're typically a percentage of T-bills is what they should be, because they should be like 70-ish% because, and not like everything, but I'm just saying like certain maturities, you look at them and they have different percentage. The reason is treasuries are taxable, so like you go to the bank and you invest or borrow, if you're a business or as a city, you're most likely paying taxable rates there. But what happens is that since you are a municipality, you get the advantage of borrowing at subsidized rates, which are tax exempt. And then from an investor's perspective, the investor who is a Missouri resident who buys your bonds, they don't have to pay federal or state income tax on that investment earnings either. So that's why they're incented to buy those bonds, while you're incented to borrow that avenue because then it's a tax exempt, like subsidized rate for you. Typically, it's like a 70% number. It's usually, munis are like 70% of the treasury rates. That's kind of what it is, but every once in a while it gets out of whack. Like recently, the long bonds for treasuries and munis, they've been trading very close to each other. It's been closer to like 90-95% for like 30 years. So when you see that, then it's like, oh, well, if you're an astute investor, you're like, I'm buying munis at that rate because they're out of whack and that's not normal. So it's typically a percentage of treasuries though.
So likely, I mean, what probably the appropriate direction would be over the next 12 months is we take time to get the engineers to sharpen their pencils on numbers, figure out projects, figure out our appetite, figure out the public's appetite for what the effects, cause and effect, and then maybe make that a significant part of next year's rate hearing and rate plan.
Well, we need to act now on this year's, because as we have found, the longer we wait, the more expensive everything becomes, and we got to stop dragging our feet and make a decision. soon.
It's like no other business quite has the same structure as a municipal business. It is an enterprise, I talked about that last year. Sometimes you have to raise prices, and if nobody likes it, we're not here to decide if we like it, we don't like it, none of us like it. But you have to do what's right to keep the business going and keep it paying the bills, and that's really the decision point, is, are we seeing expenses in here that are unnecessary? Probably not. I mean, we're getting water towers done, we're razor thin. You see the reserves, it's not like we're trying to pad into the reserve, although we probably should. This is just another get me by. It's significantly less than we were talking about last year. We've kind of crested, and now we're really needing to stay cool. But I think next year's conversation might need to be more of a bolder conversation. If instead of trying to pick off projects and save up for the next project, how do we find a route to do a significant amount of projects? Maybe Martin or somebody similar can help us figure out, this is the effect on the rate for these projects, and seek a lot of community input, maybe do an early hearing, just to give us direction from the community on how many projects they would feel comfortable with, and then fine tune that ahead of next year's rate hearing itself to present to the board.
What about the water board? Angie, anybody, what's your input and thoughts off the top of your head about direction?
I just have a question, the charts, last month we looked at 10, 15, 20.
Mhm.
Are these assuming 20?
No, these are assuming 15.
15, okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Because this is what we really need to actually get Meadows done, get the
Right.
94 lift station done, and that's what will provide growth for Willard.
Mhm.
And if we grow, then we can not have to raise rates as much, or this raise next year will pay for a bigger project,
Mhm.
or bonds.
And then you might clarify this one as well. Last time it was, suggested it would be 15, 15, 15. This is 15 one time, and then
Yep, this
we
is
hope
just
for the best.
15 one time, so we're gonna hit 2026, we're gonna stay where we're at, but we're gonna slowly dip into our reserves, just like dipping into your savings, to where you get to barely above zero, if we stay at 15. So something's gonna have to change.
So then we would want to look at a 15 now and then like a 5.
Yeah,
Or an 8.
or even
Which
if we
is
got,
what we had talked about last
Right.
year. I mean, that was the original plan.
Mhm.
but we need to do these now so we can grow, and then they can help shoulder the burden.
Right.
So that's,
Which is what we ultimately want.
Right.
We want to be able to share the love.
yes, definitely.
Grow our way out of financial problems.
Right.
Wes, can you remind us, why did it take so long for the rates to be implemented this year? It was a 40-some percent
I think we
increase,
had
and it was approved, I think, in
the
January.
percentage is still slightly off. We'll always disagree on that.
Okay.
However, the rates, if you remember, we had a second public hearing. I think the date was January. It was finally finalized, then put in place shortly thereafter.
March, our first, it was either the end of February, 1st
Yeah.
of March was the
And
first
then-
billing cycle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
have
We
to
had
have
to wait
total
the
bill.
30 days
Yeah.
for it to be notified and go out on the first bill before.
So when
Then
did
there's a
they
slight
start?
snafu in the software, so April
Yeah, that's
is when
what I was-
so
I was
April, I
remembering
think,
there
was
was
the
something
first bill
about-
where most people got their first 1,000 gallons still free on the first
Okay.
run, and then the second run in April cleared that up.
Okay, so it was around May, really, when
Yeah, it
the
would've been May,
extra-
would've been the
extra
first
revenue
true-
started
When the
flowing.
revenues came in,
Yeah,
And when would you propose these go into effect if this is?
These need to go, we passed that ordinance to have these discussions early, so all this goes into place with the budget. So it all ties
January.
one.
So it'd be
budget.
January 1st, but it'd probably be your February bill that you
February
actually
bill
see
for
it.
January, yeah.
Because it would be your first full January bill.
Well, I like what you've done here. I think
Thank
people
you.
will be very surprised to see where our rates are compared to others around us. I mean, all you hear is they're raising the rates again, well, comparatively speaking, we're not bad.
Exactly.
And I think that's a
And
great.
Republics were
Exactly.
crazy. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. Everybody's saying, well, Republic this, Republic that.
Everybody likes to
Move
compare
there
us
and
to
pay those rates.
Republic.
and everybody wants to grow like Republic, but they're going,
Yeah,
they got way too much.
I think
Right.
sewer represents the best opportunity we have to control our destiny a little bit. So if we get the I-9 under control and stop sending more money than we need to south, that's an opportunity to stagnate that rate a little bit, I believe. And the department, they're really after it. Hopefully over the winter months, they'll be able to get out there and get some more stuff out and get that in. But that's a place I think we can do better on. It's still cheaper than a sewer plant.
You ask our thought. My personal thought is, you know, timing is everything, and I'm gonna leave guys, leave the money. I would lean towards, just because you could get it implemented in a couple of months versus the other route of waiting. You know, if you do the bond, you can't have an election till April.
Right.
And then you're looking, I mean, we're 8 months into 2026 at the same rate, and the numbers just keep going down. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't know what the rest of the board, but.
So some of these projects we have planned are kind of COPs, where we have short-term financing.
Yeah,
So essentially, we want the bond to add a project and pay off the ones that we were planning to do in 2026.
Right.
So
mhm,
we want to do them now while we can with the money
yes,
at the rate it is.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Gina, I really appreciate the list of.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think there's one on here twice, the water meters at 60,000. I may be wrong. And-
You know,
and I
they
was-
order water meters all the time,
Yeah.
so I think it would have probably been like they ordered some and then they ordered some
Yeah,
more.
and I'm not trying to be picky, but I want to point it out because you want to, you know, when you present it to your
Right.
customers, it'd be good to get it. And I would like to know the rest of the dollar amounts on the bottom half. There's, you
Okay.
don't have the dollar amounts. I think that's useful. As far as what the board should do, I'm not really sure, but I say this every time, I would encourage you to stop saying we keep putting off rates, because the customers last year, well, or earlier this year, had their rates go up. Their customers also had a 10% rate increase in 2023. So to the customers, it may not seem like it to you, but to the customers, it's not been, you know, years since we've had a rate increase, because it hasn't been years. I do realize, and I agree, there was a long gap where it was delayed, but it hasn't been delayed in recent history. And if you keep saying that, and the customers know better, then everything else you say is kind of, you know, we're not listening anymore. So, and I do think you ought to put down what the percentage increase was this year. I mean, I suppose it depends on how you look at it, but the customer's bill is what they see. They know what they were paying
That's why we
before.
created the calculator, so people can figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, and I appreciate-
You
no.
compare apples to oranges with your number, so that's why we created the calculator. People can look at
Okay.
their own number.
But you need to relate to the customers. That's what we're here to
Understandable,
represent.
that's why they got a
And
calculator.
that's
so you
really
can figure it
good.
out. Yeah.
It is really good, but the customer knows what they were paying in January and what they were paying in July.
Of course.
And so if you quibble about, was it 30% or was it 40% or was it 22%, it doesn't really matter.
For
I
everybody, it's
know,
different because of the usage amount, so really, unfortunately, some
Yeah.
have to do it themselves, and that's why we created the calculator.
okay, and I understand, but you're still kind of minimizing the impact of what happened to the customers.
Nobody's trying to minimize it, because everybody's hitting all the time.
Okay, I'm trying to help you for the rate, for the rate.
I understand.
I really am trying to help you.
I understand.
If that's how you present it, you're gonna lose your audience.
Yeah.
Because the customer knows what they were paying in January and they know what they paid in July. And if it's presented as, well, that was, not a big deal and that wasn't really helpful, then why would I need to listen to you anymore? If I'm the customer.
So you're
And-
saying that we should convey it, we should communicate it by just saying, yes, we know that
Yeah, it was
we've
a big
had
increase.
an increase this year,
Yeah,
and we need further increases. the next
right. You gotta be straight with people. They know what they pay. They know when their bill went up. And if you want more of an increase, just be straight with us.
Yeah, I don't, okay, so are you saying someone's told the public that we've never had an increase?
No, I'm saying no, but the message consistently has been that if we keep kicking the can down the road, well, to the customer, that's not the case. Since 2023, we've had 2 rate increases, and this is the 3rd.
Okay.
So if you just keep saying that over and
I don't
over.
think anybody said that the rate increase has been kicked down the road, the projects have been
The
kind of put
projects
off.
that are supported
Okay, well-
by the rate.
So the messaging, you're saying the
I think
messaging
it's
just needs to
both.
be
And
better?
that's the
Yeah.
point of this big list, is
Yeah.
all of the things that were completed based on the rate increase that the 2 rate increases that we've been able to complete. complete now.
Yeah, and that is good.
But we still have massive
Right.
infrastructure that we have to complete, and we cannot do that at the rate that we are right now.
I understand, and I'm just trying to relay to you, since we're the liaison between you guys and the
I hear what
customer,
you're saying.
that's what they see. And also because in the last 2 years, when this was presented, a rate increase was presented, basically the same projects were presented. We need to paint the water towers, and I know why it hasn't happened, but not everybody does. And so if you keep using the exact same reason year after year after year, it becomes less believable. I believe you. I know what you're saying.
Use your format and your platform to share what
Yeah.
it is, instead of sharing things that stir people up,
I don't know what I've shared that stirred people
then
up.
we'll again agree to
Okay.
disagree.
Okay. Well, what I do share is the videos of the board meetings. I don't know if anyone watches them. They're kind of hard to hear.
They didn't get watched.
I watch them with the volume
They
turned
watch my
blasted
short
up in my
videos.
car. That's about the only way you
My
can
short
really.
Is there a way to close caption those?
I think YouTube will do it automatically
It
if you
might,
can
yeah.
hear it well. This room is not built for
Right.
acoustics.
Yeah.
It's bad. I think we need some panels or something. We're looking into it. To get the kind of sound system we need to get it to work right, it's gonna be very expensive, and I don't think the city can really justify that. So we'll start with some panels and see if we can get that.
YouTube has a transcript option when you go to more underneath YouTube, and that's how I fill in gaps.
Well, and actually, it's hard to hear in here too. And that's been, voiced for over a year.
We're gonna try and get
I
some
don't-
panels up.
I don't know what can be done, it is very, very hard to, even me sitting here, it's really hard to hear. Maybe I don't have.
If
the best
economic
internet.
times are better,
I was trying to be
City
loud.
Hall. That's not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah,
No, they'll see you.
I'm usually
City
not a
Hall,
person who
acoustics,
has a
the
problem
parking
hearing.
lot, the meeting rooms, but I guess right now we gotta focus on toilets and,
Another suggestion I might add, I like your water list because it shows that's in between now and 2038. The sewer list, and I know it was put together by the engineering firm, but there's no dates or years. It's just like, hey, we need $36 million for sewer. Well, is that over the same 12 years of water, or is that what we need in the next 3 years?
we can supply those dates for you.
Yeah, I mean, it just might, because that's gonna be sticker shock.
Yeah.
36 million, yeah.
Okay.
And Gina, on the 60,000 for the meters, we originally budgeted 60,000 at the beginning of the year, and then that wasn't gonna be enough, so when we did the amended budget, it was another 60,000.
So
That's
this
why we
is,
put it in there.
yeah,
So we
that's what
spent
I figured.
120,000 on meters this
That's
year
what I
because
figured.
of growth and everything.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Another comment I'd like to make about, the upcoming hearing for the water board and everybody in here, is that unfortunately, it's just the symptom of our society that all we ever hear from usually are the naysayers. Even though I know there's a vast majority of people out there that understand there is a problem and that we have elected to take on this problem, even though it's not popular. So if you have friends, family, and neighbors that you associate with that say, hey, we understand this, I would encourage you to have them come to the meeting also. So that the board doesn't only hear from 20 people that are jumping up and down because they have the solution to all of our problems. So I always think that it's important to hear both sides of the story instead of just the people that have ideas and wishes with absolutely no way to support them or implement them. So it'd be nice to hear from people that say, yeah, we understand there's a problem, and we're glad that you guys are tackling the problem versus letting the next group 5 years from now. Because it would be so easy for us to just table this till we're all gone and none of us are sitting in these seats. And then we don't have to deal with the social media abuse and the naysayers and all the negativity. It'd be easy to walk away from that and leave the next group to deal with the problem. So that's.
And I think you're 100% right, and I'll back you on that. And here's what I say. Growth will not become a part of this community. Everyone sitting in this room tonight understands that. We will not see it until we make it happen. To make it happen, everybody did kick the can down the road behind you guys. It wasn't your fault. And you are stuck with the problem. We're all stuck with it. So all we have to do is, yes, we had to raise some rates the last couple of times. That's fine. I'm good with it. I understand it, and he's right. These people need to come in and understand it, because we're not trying to tell them anything that we want to take your money, but we want to run your community. We want your community to go, you want an Andy's, you want an Aldi's, you want another grocery store. We have to improve interior to grow, and we can't do it, and that's why we come to you and ask for more funds. My opinion is, I understand it. I don't like it when I get my winter rates from Spire and they go up. I don't like it when I get my summer rates and they go up from Liberty. But I look at them and I go, I gotta do this, I get it. And we all have lived different circumstances, fully understand that. But I look to finding a solution to grow a nice community such as Wilton. And when I stepped onto the fire department 47 years ago, we had 3 fire trucks, no water tankers, and 12 men. Today, we have a beautiful fire station. We have, 16 trucks, something like that, brand new equipment, 18 paid firefighters, and I could use 6 more right now. I could use 6 more new paid firefighters right now, because of the demand on the fire district. This phone is dinging 10 times, 12 times a day. That truck's going down the road, doing a service to this community that they give us the money to do. So my passion for you guys is, I get where you're coming from, because I've been on the side of that a little bit too. I would do the most feasible thing for this community is, if you have to go 15%, then go 15% or 50, whatever you're looking at. And then I would entertain some kind of a bond. I don't know Martin, I don't know what Martin's suggestion, he's threw suggestions out there for what you to think about or look at. Maybe it's not a good time to go to the voters. I totally agree that. Everybody's up in arms about everything right now. But if there's other ways to obligate something and move you forward, and you can control that a little bit with rates, bringing them up a little at a time, and the rates will control the bond, you're set. You know, nobody wants to ask people for no loan. You know, nobody wants to pay, I don't want to pay higher car insurance rates, but guess what? I get a bill for it. I don't want to pay a higher home insurance.
Have you got your health insurance rates lately?
Yeah, I have.
I just got mine and fell out of my chair, but I don't have anyone to complain to.
Yeah, that's it. That's my whole point. But this community will look toward down the road. I am so thankful that I have been able to be a part of something, and that's why I wanted to come up here and try to help you guys. Be a part of something, to see growth, to see something new coming. It's here, and it will come out there south. It will come in different versions. Wes and I have had a couple conversations about it. We all see something coming, but if we're not prepared for it coming, even in the best manner of a little bit at a time, then we don't see nothing, and we sit in the ditch and we spin our wheels. I'm not a sit in the ditch, spin the wheels guy. I'm Johnny down the street, let's knock her down, and let's move on, and let's show these people what we're about. That's me. I proved it on the fire department. I think they're gonna have to grow up and understand, we are running a community here. You are running something for these people's survivability. Water, sewer, and we have no control over Liberty. We have no control over them guys, but you do have control of what you can do. And if you can do it at a rate that they can understand it and see it, go for it. That's just me. If I was sitting in your place, my vote would be, find the best way to let this guy or whoever, whatever, find you a way to get some money in your pockets today. Get the necessities that Wes and these guys are working for. Get it up there a little bit where they can have that and let people see what can happen here. But if we keep kicking the can, and it's not your fault, the can got kicked a long time ago.
Obviously.
And you guys got the end of the can that's about rotted out, you know. But that's not your fault. Honestly, you guys, not a one of you in here, it's your fault. No. But you got stuck with it. And we want to be a part of something good. And I'm telling you, there is good here. We just got to find that edge. And I think the edge is out there. I think we can find some money to grow it. And that's all we need to do is just a little bit of time. fix the water tower, improve little strips of water mains at a time, get the lift station that we need to open that up down there where people are saying, God, I'd like to put 2,500, I'd like to put 2,000 houses out there. I want to put all that, I want to put a Maverick on the corner down there or something, you know? Have those opportunities, but if we can't supply it, then we can't have it, and we can't get the money from it. So that's my say. That's just me. I know you guys are tasked with a very hard choice, and I've been there. I know what it's like. But if the fire department on my side of it and our side as a board out there, I saw issues coming with people needing help. People will need help in this city too. So we got it, and it was a tough decision to do what we did, but they backed us and they saw the need, and we put that need in effect immediately the minute the money hit the bank. And I think you guys will do the exact same thing. So you know, Martin, if you were to recommend a bond, and I'm just throwing questions, I'm not trying to make any decisions for you or nothing, but which way would be a smarter way for us to look at these ladies and gentlemen tonight? What would that be for them?
I mean, the quickest way to go about it and simplest way to go about it would be a certificate of participation.
And support it on rates?
Yeah, you adjust your rates, you have a market study, you said from a year to 2 years ago, from 2023.
End of 24.
End of 24, so that's a pretty recent rate study. You use that to guide you, which you've already done some rate adjustments. And then, I mean, you know, just start looking at bond modeling and look at what that can do for you and what that generates. And it's the simplest way to get the largest chunk of projects knocked out at a time. I mean, that's.
And yes, it will require rates to go a little bit. But there again, we are the lowest sitting here looking at that chart. And we have room to grow. We just gotta we gotta put some money in. And people are gonna have to understand a little bit. Our stories aren't any different than their stories.
So you are coming to the public hearing, right?
If you need me to, I will.
I would suggest
it.
that every member of the water board come to the meeting.
I am more than happy to come. You asked me to be on this board, and I am honored to be on this board. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody or tell you anything. I've had to do it before. There is good here. They just need to understand it. And I think you guys are doing a great job. Every day you go down the street, I brag on the improvements. You know, coming up today, I'm talking about how cool that all looks down there. Just the sidewalks and the new ditch and the new
Those
pipe.
boys back there, their heads are gonna grow.
I know,
so big,
they did
you cannot
that,
hold
but
them
they did
back.
it. You know, that's an improvement to the city. It's you see that. It's good deals. You know, people see, you know, a small water pipe turn into a nice water pipe, and now they got a fire hydrant in front of their yard, or two. Well, guess what? Their rates are gonna get even better, because that leaves us to be able to say, hey, look, we've added this many the city added this many fire hydrants, or you improved the water system, and now we are a class 4 district-wide for you guys. Now we can get you a 3 maybe. Well, it brings it down a little bit. It offsets the property taxes a little bit. If I save you $100 or $110 a year in insurance, and I only ask you for a little bit, maybe I only needed $20 more a year of your money to get what I needed, I did you good. I did what I was supposed to do for you. And that's what it's about.
It's like the mayor said, we don't want just the naysayers, we want the people who have.
Yeah, and it's easy for any of us to be naysayers. Honestly, guys, we could naysay to death. But I say negativity doesn't do nothing for this country. Positivity takes us everywhere we want to go. Do we want to march, or do we want to fight, or do we want to march? I want to march. That's what I want to do. So I'll be there. If you need me, Troy,
I'd like you there.
I will sit until I will.
Because a lot of times what we find, and I know we're going down a rabbit hole here, but a lot of times what we find is, you know, people think the elected officials are sitting in ivory towers, making arbitrary and capricious, punitive decisions because somehow we're benefiting from whatever is going on.
Sure.
So sometimes it might be good for people to hear from people that are not elected officials.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be here. You just tell me about
That'd be
that.
wonderful. Anybody else on the board?
So thank you for hearing that, but I say go the 15%. I say get the fastest money you can get. I say adjust the rates as we do gently along the way to cover whatever money we need to get, and let's get these boys doing what they need to do.
Public hearing at 6:30 on Monday, or 6?
6:30.
6:30?
Meeting starts.
Meeting
This Monday.
Hearing starts at 6:30.
Anybody else from the water board?
I just have another question about the list of the improvements this
Mark,
year.
thank you.
Thank you, sir, we appreciate you coming.
If you guys need any hours, questions, whatever.
Information, so, yeah. Yeah. we're
Angie, go ahead.
Thanks.
Thank you. Be careful going home, guys. Thank
Yep.
you.
I think there probably were more sewer capital improvements this year, right? Like, I know there was some things done on I&I. There's just not much on here about sewer, and I think customers would, if there were, I'm not sure what he did this year for sewer, but it'd be useful to put that on
Are you
here.
on the front page, Angie, the
Yeah, on
first
the
page?
front page.
Trevor, I need a list.
Yeah, and I don't need to know right now, but, I think that would be important to present on Monday,
Okay,
what you did for sewer. Because it's mostly, and I'm not sure, does storm, and this is just a curiosity thing, does stormwater actually fall under water in a water budget? And if it does, that's fine, I just wasn't aware of that.
No, that's gonna be a general.
That's a general, okay. It's still good work, but I didn't know if that really actually fell under water.
Yeah, we got some other generals in here.
which one?
Sidewalk project. Yeah, we'll tidy up.
Yeah, I figured you would, I was just curious.
And something I don't know if you guys are aware of, but like last year when the study was done, I learned more about water and sewer than I thought I ever wanted to know, because I'm one of those that I'm not gonna vote on something if I don't understand it.
Sure.
And one of the things that really took me back was, and I don't have the data in front of me, and Wes has thrown too many numbers at me since then, but we took a huge rate decrease that took us until I think 2 or 3 years ago to gain that back. Like, your bill was cut and nobody wrote in and complained about that.
I noticed
And
that.
nobody even
because-
acknowledged
I'm sorry
it.
to interrupt you.
No,
I went back
but, I
through
mean,
my bills,
nobody,
and I was like, what happened? I don't remember what year it was, but my bill
2015.
went down.
and I mean, there was a huge cut, and it's like, so the projects that the can was kicked down, I mean, if the rates would have just stayed the same,
There you go.
but everybody got, I think it was a 20%.
For him. 20% for the base and then 9.3%.
Did the board vote on that?
I wasn't on the board at
I'm
the time, I
assuming-
No, I
don't
know,
know.
but I
I'm assuming so, all I did was write down.
I
the-
mean, the minutes somewhere.
Yeah,
I would assume so, but there was a reduction for some reason,
I'm
and I
curious
asked,
why
and I
that
was
happened.
told that they didn't know why, but there was a reduction. So we reduced 20%, and then we slowly gained back like 3 and 5, and it took us lots of years to gain that back.
Yeah.
And had it have just maintained at that, we might not be in the position we're in.
There you go.
It is strange that it wasn't announced either. I know never heard anything about it. And most people, you know, if your
I
bill goes down, you're not gonna question it. You just assume.
You just go with
You
it.
know, well, I'd probably just assume we were using less, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember like calling and complaining because my bill.
No,
Who would be doing that?
I'm
But-
surprised it wasn't publicized, because, you know, why
But-
else would you do that?
I would say, again, Gina, thank you so much for the work that you've
Oh,
done on
yeah, that's
this.
great.
And, I mean, if I'm understanding this correct, Republic currently, for the same usage, is $113,000, or $113. Sorry, I've been doing lots of hundreds and thousands of dollars of work. Republic currently, for 4,000 gallons, is paying $113, and it goes to $152 starting January.
Yep, that's water and sewer combined.
We're at 104, and we go to 117, so we are just barely topping over what they did the previous
This year, yeah.
That, I mean, again, thank you for doing that work, and,
I thought it was very important to show when people are up in arms about my rate going up, but
The
we're not
constant,
Republic.
the constant comparison is Republic.
Yes.
And ideally, as big as Republic is, you would think that the rates would be able to come down because you've got more support in that system, but for whatever reason, they are seeing the need to go up, and I mean, I haven't looked
That
at
big
their
plan
budgets.
paid for.
They put.
I haven't looked at their budget, so I
And
don't They have a big
there were
old
some
pool.
issues with getting some state money that I think they thought they were gonna get that they do not get.
Yeah.
So,
So, but anyway,
something to that effect.
thank you for what you've done.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if I haven't already, and I don't want to ready to adjourn yet, but I just want to thank you guys and lady for volunteering your time, because I talk about it all the time about trying to get citizen involvement with anything and everything. Is very hard to get people to leave their keyboards and actually come in person and sit and discuss ideas and volunteer their time and their effort. So I appreciate that you guys have all given your time, your effort, your energy. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of myself and the board for that.
I'm
Thank you.
happy to do it.
All right. All right, Wes, do you want to make some remarks now?
Yeah, I just want to give you an update on the water tower agreement. It's in progress. Of course, we had some discussions on the last meeting about that. We fine-tuned the ordinance as far as the Meadows Tower, because that's the one they're going to be upside down on. Basically, the route that seems favorable to everybody, and we're just waiting on Holly's input, is to encumber the full amount and reduce that amount annually with each remittance that we make on the maintenance agreement until it's zeroed out. So that language will be added to the ordinance. For the second read, it would require you guys to make a motion to accept the amended language, and then you would be able to motion to make the second read. But we do anticipate having that in. Obviously, everybody is eager to see the Meadows Tower. It desperately needs it. You can see the brown coming through the paint now on the outside, so it's way past time. We can finally get it done. It's so big that when it's nice and big and white, people might get some sunglasses going through that. But other than that, it's finally progress, and it's a good bit of progress, and will buy us some time to plan out a more detailed maintenance operation on it. And they're thinking about 15 years from when the paint hits. So pretty good progress. Pretty excited about that. And then I think that is it for me. The rest I'll say.
Anybody else have any new business?
Water board, I think you guys wanted to consider postponing your December 17th into the new year.
That's what everybody wants to do. I'm fine with, do we have anything we need to do on Saturday? If you don't,
I can't think of anything.
No, that's fine.
Do you guys want to push it till January or keep it the 17th or?
Since you were all here tonight, I thought it might be nice if you wanted to cancel.
January's good.
Yeah.
January's fine. Yeah.
Well, you guys have to buy us all some more
We've
presents.
been having the meetings, on the third Wednesday of every month?
I think that's right.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Happy to do that.
And just to put it out there again, the water board meeting will be on third Wednesday, but he's having a guest come in to talk about grants. So I don't know if you guys want to come. It might be
Yeah,
beneficial
it'd
if
be a
you
good
want
idea.
to.
It'd be a good idea to
It'd
hear.
be a good idea, because
Let him tell you.
anywhere we
everything.
get free money, I'm all for
I
that.
mean, it's
He
not
can
a
tell
work
you.
study, but it is, we're gonna have a presentation about grants, so.
And he, like I said, he told me, I didn't know what the other members of the board here wanted to do, but he could come the 17th, but he thought January would be better for him to get everything gathered up for him and get it over here for you. And it's no cost, there's no cost. If they have to come a second time and work with everybody, there's no cost. They want to come tell you what they know and what they're experiencing. Same as Mark, I mean, there's no pressure on nobody here, they just want to bring it to you.
Great.
Help you out.
Fantastic. We appreciate you reaching out to them for us.
Yep, happy to.
Any unfinished business? Dave?
Second. I have a first and a second, all in favor, aye? Aye. Do I have any opposed? Passes, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So when are you guys leaving again, Monday night?
Carrie, you help him-
Where's your-
you help him pilot.
Monday night.